everyone. I hope you don't mind a bikini review. It's only because it's been so hot. It's finally now cooled down a little bit and it's actually got a little bit darker, and today's been mega hot and I just need to cool down. So unfortunately I'm not appropriately dressed, but you'll just have to cope. This is Most Worn Fragrances July 2020, and I have to tell you, there's the only requirement for these fragrances to be in this video is that I've worn them at least twice. Oh, it's nice. Oh, this breeze is lovely. Because I have worn so many different things. Because I've been testing a lot of things, I've been reviewing a lot of things, and therefore I haven't really just been wearing my usual or my fragrances, my everyday fragrances, because I've been testing so much stuff and I've received so many samples to try that it's just been all about testing new stuff. Let's change the angle a little bit there to get a bit more greenery in the background. So there's one repeat from last month's video, and that is Prada Candy Gloss. I wore that today on my bike ride, and I've worn it a couple of times, or I've been working from home. Last set of shifts were day shifts, and I wore that at least once or twice during my day shifts working from home. So Prada Candy Gloss is it's a pink fruity, almost like a cocktail, it's got sour cherry. It feels to me, I've got something on my back. What is it? There's always something. It's got sour cherry. It's supposed to be reminiscent of a lipstick, but I don't get that in the opening. I get more of a fruity cocktail, pink and orange fruits, and a cocktail kind of feel. And then in the dry down, once it's been on a couple of hours, it gets more like a vanilla and powdery with a fruity nuanced type scent. But it's really fun, it's really refreshing because it's sour. So even though it's sweet with the vanilla, it's refreshing and it's great for this hot weather. So I really enjoy that. So that was great on my bike ride today. It was really pumping off my skin as well. Now another one from my collection is Chanel's Paris Deauville, which is a really green, sour, fresh bergamot style fragrance. It's cologne-y, but it's green, as green as in unripened green, sharp citrus fruits more than anything else. Kind of limey bergamoty. It's very refreshing. So I've worn that a couple of times as well. I tend to only wear that for a few hours and then I'll probably put something else on top. It's not mega weak, but about 4 hours in I would probably just want to reapply to get something with a little bit more va-va-voom. So another one I've worn a few times is Neroli Portofino, and I think everyone knows how this smells now. It's a really musky, like a laundry musk citrus fragrance. It's kind of simple, but it's very classic and refreshing without being boring, because I really enjoy that muskiness, that sort of laundry musk thing that it does. So I've worn that one a couple of times. And another one that I've worn is this one. It's Pomelo Paradis. It's basically a very zesty, sweetened grapefruit mostly, and I've layered that one. So when I've worn Deauville, I've layered that with this, and I layer Pomelo Paradis quite often. All my freshies generally get layered, so Neroli Portofino, Chanel Paris Deauville, and Chanel Paris Biarritz, Virgin Island Water, and Xerjoff Renaissance 1861. I will generally mix and match layering those fragrances because they all just work together in any combination, and this is one that I will also layer with those freshies sometimes. So I might start out with just Pomelo Paradis and then an hour or so later add something else on top just to make it a bit more fun. I think something's biting my back. Can't bloody well reach it though. Can't see anything. I might be imagining it. Okay, let's carry on. A fragrance I've worn just when I've been indoors is My Insolence. It is pretty much my signature. I absolutely love this one. It's probably a bit too sweet, quite a lot of vanilla, so I wouldn't necessarily pick it for a really mega hot day like today was. But I have worn it in the evening to hang out for a little bit before bed. I find it very comforting. It's another one that's very musky, and it's a clean musk again, a little bit like the musk in Neroli Portofino, or even a little bit like the dry down of Prada Candy Gloss. It's just this lovely, clean, fluffy muskiness. So there's lots of vanilla. I've definitely got something on my back. It's raspberry in the top, there's vanilla, there's, I think it's orange blossom, but it's not too orangey or sickly like orange blossom can go. It's more gentle. It's a very gentle fragrance, but it's very comforting and I love it. So it's My Insolence. And another one I've worn a couple of times is Mon Precious Nectar. I actually took this one camping with me. I went camping a couple of days. And Guerlain's Mon Precious Nectar is an orange blossom, almond. Again, a little bit musky, not as musky as the other two that I mentioned. Got a little bit of texture to it as well, but it's a beautiful almond and orange blossom mostly, and vanilla as well. So that's that one. Now we're going to move on to some of the stuff that's new to me that I've been testing. So Teone and Beck's channel Fragdicted sent me a couple of decants, and this one's called Vintage and it's by a company called Chabaud. And they do lots of gourmand fragrances, and I've tried their lait de biscuit, which is obviously milk and biscuits, and this one's called Vintage, and this is lovely. It's a really soft, innocent, it's another musky vanilla. It's a soft musky vanilla with almond. There's probably, yeah, there's ylang in here. It's sort of gourmand, but it's floral. It's a floral gourmand. It's a flormand. It's a flormand. It's got a lovely soft fluffy almond in here, and I'm really enjoying that. So I've worn that a couple of times now. That was on my left arm when I was on my bike ride today, and I've got through quite a lot of that already quite quickly. It reminds me of a Sylvain Delacourt fragrance. It could have been part of Sylvain Delacourt's musk collection or even her vanilla collection. It's a musky vanilla with a bit of floral. It's, in fact, I decided today that I'll probably, that was a fly, I'll probably want to buy a bottle. Bloody insects. I think I want to buy a bottle because actually it's quite similar to Creed Sublime Vanille, which is very expensive. That was on my buy list. It was on my if one comes up cheap buy list. I wouldn't pay full retail. But this does a similar thing. It's definitely a lot cheaper though. So I really like that. It's like it's another laundry mask, vanilla with some ylang. It's beautiful though. I really like that. Very innocent, very comforting as well, and a bit fresh. It's a bit citrusy in the opening, so just like Creed Sublime Vanille is. Right then, moving on to some more unusual stuff. So you may or may not have seen my review for Teone Reinthal Embers and Avant Gardenia. So I've worn those a few times because obviously I was testing them. Now the one I most wore, just because I loved it so much, is Embers, and I've worn that quite a few times, or every now and then I just do a surreptitious little spray. In fact, I'm going to do that. I'll do a surreptitious little spray just to smell it. Oh, there we go. And it's quite simple, but it's just beautiful. It's the way, I think it's the quality of the ingredients combined with a very clever perfumer. and what you have is something that is just gorgeous without being weird or challenging or having any big bombastic notes. It's mostly vanilla and a little bit of smoke, but the vanilla, it has nuances of cherry and almond, and it's a very particular vanilla that the perfume is used, and she's tinctured, hand tinctured herself, these gorgeous vanilla beans from Papua New Guinea, and they just give it almost like a tonka-y feel, but where tonka is normally kind of hefty, has a bit of weight to it. It's like tonka, it's like a tonka fluffy cloud rather than actual tonka. It's really, really beautiful, but look at my full review if you're interested. So I've worn that a few times, and that is on my to buy list. Another one from Teone Reinthal is one I picked up from eBay. They don't come up much because obviously it's a house from Australia, and it's kind of expensive to get it shipped over to the UK. And so someone was selling this bottle. It's called East, and it's an oriental vanilla fragrance. I can't remember all the notes, but to me I get something that's almost a little mentholated, like just a little bit minty, but in a very soft way. And it's thick and resinous and sweet and vanillic. It's really lovely. I don't love it as much as Embers. There's a little bit of smokiness as well. I don't love it as much as Embers, but it's probably that. It's a similar ballpark. It's really nice. I'm really glad to have that one. So I've worn that a few times just while I'm testing it. And finally then, it's a brand new brand, and you may well know the person behind the brand. He's called Angelos. I might be saying Angelos. He's from Greece, and the brand itself is called Angelos Creations Olfactives. So there's a sample set there. I heard about him on a Facebook group. Someone was talking about one of the fragrances in particular, and the notes and the description sounded totally up my street. So I got in touch with him to find out how to get samples, and I bought the sample set, but at the time he couldn't get, it was just at the beginning of everything happening, and he couldn't get the materials he needed to, so he didn't have a couple of the fragrances, but he's recently sent me the ones that were missing. And so I'm not going to talk about the whole house here right now. You may well know this person because he has a YouTube channel called My Perfume Vlog, and I actually met him last year at Essence when I didn't know that he was a perfumer. I saw him walking around with his big camera, and I knew that he did Instagram and YouTube. I think we said hello a few times, but we didn't talk in depth. And he was a very nice person. In fact, I haven't told him this. Well, I didn't realise at the time because I hadn't watched the film, but he's a doppelganger, or he has a doppelganger. If you watch The Stand, which is a Stephen King, it was a Stephen King written book that then got televised, and you can watch it on YouTube. The whole thing's about 5 hours long, and there's one character, one of the main characters is called Stuart. And when I was watching this right at the beginning of lockdown, because it was recommended to me by Steve, Master Cogs, if you're watching, shout out to the Cog Master, he recommended I watch it because it's kind of a bit like I guess zombie situation, or you know, the world has come into an end kind of thing. So yeah, to make myself feel worse, he suggested that I watch The Stand. But the character Stuart looks just like this man Angelos. But that's probably completely off topic and not relevant really. This fragrance I want to talk about is Grace d'Orient, and I've tried it a couple of times. I'm being quite careful with it because I only had this little sample. This was the one that was getting talked about on the Facebook group, so I'm going to do that one here. It's an iris fragrance, so I'm only going to do a little bit there. It's an iris, it's an iris floral, almost goes a little bit gourmand. I can't even remember what the notes are now, except that I know that there's natural iris in here. Now this perfume, it uses high percentage of naturals. He has got himself trained in Paris under different perfumers. He spent months and months in Paris training underneath different master perfumers, learning the old ways, the traditional French perfumery with very high concentrations of naturals. And this is my favorite one from the house, and I can't honestly right now tell you what it is. I don't know if it's white florals and iris, and there's some vanilla in there, but it's got a really old school kind of feel. I think if you like things like Le Bleu from Guerlain, if you like vintage fragrances, you should definitely check out this house. All of these fragrances have this vintage feel, and the high percentage of naturals, you can really tell in the ingredients. This is not one of those modern perfume houses where you can pick out the ambroxan and the isoe super and all those common ingredients, the ethyl maltol that everyone knows is popular, and so they chuck them in everything, which I don't mind sometimes, but this isn't happening here. You will not pick up on any of the synthetics. I think he only uses, I'm guessing he only uses the synthetics for structure rather than effect. So I will definitely be doing an overview of this house. I've got some information that he sent me, so I can give you a lot more information. That'll be one of those videos that gets about 5 views, but I don't care. They're a house that's really worth exploring if you are into vintage and you appreciate a high percentage of naturals. So that's it. That was my most warm fragrances in July 2020. Welcome to August 2020. Let's see what it holds for us. Fingers crossed things start looking up. I know we're on very, very sketchy ground at the moment, probably everywhere in the world. I know that a lot of you are struggling with, if you have work that's reliant on certain conditions, then I know it's a tough time for a lot of people. So my fingers are crossed for you, and let's hopefully we'll get through this. Thank you for watching, putting up with me in my bikini. I can't believe I've reviewed in a bikini. What's the world coming to, eh? See you all in the next video.